Have a look at February 2012, the first question. 14:30, our ship is steering 073 gyro, speed 16 knots, and we see Greenwich buoy beam to port at 5.2 miles. And we're asked in the first instance for our observed position at 14:30. So what we do here, 14:30 hours, 073 gyro, apply our 2 degrees high error, and therefore it's 071 true is what we're steering. So I've drawn a little sketch there, 071, and the beam bearing is to port. So just by a simple drawing and deduction of 90 degrees, we can find that the bearing of the Greenwich buoy is 341 degrees true by 5.2 miles. So what we do is simply plot that on the chart. There's the Greenwich buoy there, 341 by 5.2 miles, and this is our position at 14:30. which I've written down here. So that's our 14:30 position, 5019.6, 0002.6 east. Then what happens, from 14:30 from that position to 15:15, we steer a course of 071 true for 12 miles because we're going at 16 knots and it's for 3/4 of an hour, so it's just 12 miles we do. Then from 15:15 to 1600, we go on a course of 058 for 12 miles because we're doing 16 knots for 3/4 of an hour, and we're asked for this DR position at 1600. Now of course a DR position is a position without allowing any current, so this is our first course here of 071, and then this is our second course here going along at 051, and then we end up at this position. I'll just see if I can get it on. We end up at this position here, this DR, at 1600 hours, having applied both the courses of 071 and 058. So that's our DR position, 5029.7 and 00036.5 east. Then we're asked to find our estimated position at that time, 1600. So what we have to do is apply our current, and we're told that high water Dover springs, so we're using the spring values, 12:30 hours is high water, and the tidal streams are obtained by means of tidal diamond B. So we go to the chart for tidal diamond B and we write down the I've written down the values here. 12:30 is high water Dover, that's springs. 1:30 is high water plus 1, 2:30 plus 2, 3:30 plus 3, and 4:30 plus 4. So we've written down the values there. Now in between each value I've written the hours 1300, 14, 15 and 16. So that's where the times come in there for the tides. Now we're going from 14:30 to 1600 hours. It's a period of 1.5 hours. So we're going from 14:30 to 1600 hours. So 14:30 to 1600 hours here, and this indicates 1600. So what that means is from 14:30 to 1500, which is half an hour, we're going on our 268 at 0.4 knots, because the full current for the hour is 268 by 0.8 springs. So we're just going from 14:30 to 1500 for this value, and that's 0.4. And then of course we're going from 1500 to 1600, that's an hour. So in other words, it's the whole current for this area here, which is 263 by 1.3. So what we do, we plot the current of 268 by 0.4, which I've done just here, and then we plot the second current of 263 by 1.3. So that's the two currents plotted, and that gives us our estimated position at 1630 hours. So the EP at 1630 is having plotted 1.5 hours worth of current. So at 1600 hours, our EP 5029.4 and 00033.7 east. What then happens at 1600 hours? The vessel stops, and then at 1700 hours the main engine repairs are complete and the ship is to rejoin the traffic and continue a passage at a reduced speed of 12 knots. And we need to find now our estimated position at 1700. Well, the vessel was stopped between 1600 and 1700, so all we apply for that hour is the current for the time between 1600 and 1700. So what I've done there, again, I've written down the currents, and it's best to write them in this sequence rather than one below the other. 1530, 1630, 1730 is high water plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Now the times 1600 to 1700 is, as you can see, I've written there in red. Therefore, the current at high water plus 4, 254 by 1.5, is the one we apply for this whole hour, i.e. half an hour before 1630 and half an hour after 1630, which gives us 1600 to 1700, and it's 254 by 1.5. So all we do there, we apply now this third current, 254 by 1.5, and that gives us our EP at 1700 hours. And we find that's 5029 north, 000, 31.6 east. The second part asks us for the ground track required to a position where Bazarel Buoy bears north at 1.5. So what you do, you go to Bazarel Buoy, which we just haven't got on the chart now, it's just outside our range. But what I've done, I've plotted 000 at 1.5 miles, and from that position I joined a line straight to our EP at 1700. So this was our EP here at 1700, and this was my course there, you can see, going straight towards Bazarel Light. And when I read that off the compass rose, I found that the ground track was 083 degrees true, and of course it's 081 gyro. So that's how you would solve that problem. You just have to be a bit careful about the values of the tidal stream or the current that we applied, and you just have to be careful about the hours. And we were told, of course, high water was at Dover at 12:13. It was a springs tide, so made sure we used springs.